Hey guys, in this quick video, this is part 3 of 5 where we talk about strength training for trail running. To the Morris Method channel. Are you someone who already exercises regularly, already has a good routine with your training, but fail to see consistent progression without burnout, injury, or do you just feel like sometimes you're just spinning wheels no matter how much training that you want to do? If this sounds like you, then I have the content for you in this channel here at Morris Method to get you moving in the right direction. I post weekly videos on topics like weight loss, endurance training, and strength training each Thursday, and a video log of our life here in the Morris Method household comes out each Sunday evening to let you guys know what we've been up to. So I'd like to welcome you to the channel here. If you are new, please hit subscribe and give us a bit of a comment on what your training goals are currently. And guys, if you are looking for more content, more regular content, every day we will post content up on Facebook, Instagram, or our Morris Method blog with all the links down below. All right, so let's get into this one. Like I said, this is part 3 of 5 where we go over the next stages for your strength training for trail running. If you missed part 1 where we talk about how to integrate strength training into your program, links up here, make sure you click on that one. And then part 2 is where we start to dive into some specific strength exercises, just like what we're gonna do today. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so just give you guys a little bit more detail in regards to strength training for trail running. Obviously, when you think about trail running in general, majority of them are an ultra distance, or they're at least tough terrain where you're going up hills, where you're going down hills. Your pace is never the same, your terrain's never the same, and you're gonna find that the downhills is gonna place a massive amount of eccentric load in your muscles. So making sure that you are strong, ready to go, so that you can actually attack these sorts of distances or just the terrain in general is significantly important to your performance or just your longevity of performance, meaning that you can stick around within this sport a whole stack longer. Just wanted to take a bit of a reminder here to say to you, remember, the strength training is an addition to your aerobic training. It is what we do on top or alongside of to improve. Now, depending on where you're currently at within your timeline, sometimes you can find that your strength training can actually hinder your endurance for a particular amount of time. So making sure that you place it into your program very specifically at the specific right amount of time is critical to getting the most out of your strength training. The last thing we want to be doing is going to the gym and utilizing your time, which is already most likely pretty constricted. You want to make sure that the training that you are doing is an indicative of an actual result. Not just doing a training session so that you feel good, not just doing a training session so that you think that you've done something, doing a training session so that you know you are getting the correct adaptations out of the stressor that you've applied. So take that as just a quick reminder. Jump back to video 1 if you're finding you're not sure how to implement it into your training program. As we are in video 3 out of 5, we are obviously at a stage now where your exercises are getting slightly tougher or at least more advanced type movements. So in today's videos, you're going to have a back squat, you're going to have a stiff-legged deadlift, and you are going to have walking lunges, but holding on to dumbbells. What we're looking to do here with these 3 major movements is a barbell back squat is an absolutely critical compound exercise that is absolutely going to be beneficial to your trail running. Think about the stairs that you go up, think about the stairs that you go down, think about the hills that you walk and power walk up, making sure that you have a strong lower body while your core gets that nice static control is significantly important so that you can control your body out there for a long distance and a long period of time. Okay, so the barbell back squat, we're gonna take a focus around the glutes again. As we know what that feeling's like. If you've forgotten what the glute sensation feeling like is video 2, you're gonna wanna jump onto that one now. So as we said, we know what the glutes should feel like. We're gonna get these quadriceps to start to load up a little bit more just like the goblet squat in part number 2, gonna get flexion and extension in your knees. When you start with the barbell back squat, my biggest recommendation is just to start with the bar and progressively build your way up from there. We're going to target the hip region down to the knees, loading in the quads and the glutes predominantly. The rep ranges that you're looking for these type of exercises, now that we're getting a little bit more advanced, remember it's strength training. So we're going to aim somewhere between the 3 rep mark and the 7 rep mark, depending on your experience, depending on what your current strength is. All these other factors do come into play, but somewhere between that 3 and the 7 is probably going to do you wonders. So you're probably there wondering, how many sets do I do, Nathan? How many do I do? So I want to go back to point number 1, or video number 1, was we want to do this on a micro level because we don't want to hinder your endurance. We don't want to get really, really strong and then have that hinder your running performance. We want to allow it to complement. So again, my recommendation would be just take out 15 minutes, 20 minutes of your day, or even just before an aerobic run, and focus on these strength exercises, just like the barbell back squat. You could do a simple 5 reps for 5 sets with say 2 or 3 minutes in between. Now you're probably thinking you're like 2 to 3 minutes in between when you're only doing 5 reps. That is one of the biggest flaws that I see in coaching people all day long with their strength training, is they're not willing to actually stop and rest in between their sets. If you're not willing to stop and rest in between your sets, your form is going to be diminished. The right muscles aren't really going to engage. You're going to have incorrect form. Like I said, it is all going to go south. Just because you can do the reps or you can do the sets doesn't actually mean you're getting the adaptation that you're after. So making sure that you have copious amounts of rest in between your sets. Take your time, be in control, and feel those muscles engage. So that is exercise number 1, where we're doing the barbell back squat. Now exercise number 2 is going to be focusing on your hamstrings, which sits just at the back of the legs underneath your glutes. Focusing on this exercise, named the stiff-legged deadlift, is going to focus on really lengthening out your hamstrings, and it's going to place a significant amount of load on your hamstrings if you get this exercise done correctly. So advancing from the rack pull that we did in video number 2, is now we're doing this stiff-legged deadlift where your feet are relatively close, just like the rack pull. Your toes are pointing straight, your knees are butting out into your hands, and your back is nice and tight, your lats are pulled back and down. When you pick up the bar from the ground, you want it to actually glide up the shins, over the knees, and stay nice and close to the thighs as you come up into that nice tall standing position. As you bring yourself back down to the ground, what you should feel is the back of your legs start to almost stretch out, if you will. That is where your hamstring is starting to do this, and then as you come back up, you're going to activate, and it's going to take that shortening position again. And what you want to focus your mind on, like I said in video 2, you want to focus on these muscles. So stiff-legged deadlift is making sure that your knee is stiff, hence the word stiff-legged, okay? Making sure that you are nice and static, and the only movement is coming from your hips bending down, and then as you stand nice and tall back up again. That is going to take a load in your hamstrings, making sure that again that correlates back to your trail running. Alright, so and this brings me to my final exercise for part 3, is going to be walking lunges. Now you're going to notice lunges are a reoccurring theme. Today, within part 3, if you are ready for it, we are looking for dumbbell walking lunges. So super easy to hold on to the weight. All you do is get a couple of dumbbells, depending on what sort of experience that you have had with strength training. You just place them to the side of the body like you're holding 2 briefcases, and you go about your lunge as you walk forward. Now I want to take this reminder, and I want to take this focus, just like in video part number 2, focus on the back leg as you push away, and that is where you're going to get that glute activation that we're really after, rather than just loading and focusing too much on that front leg, where you're just going to get too much quad load. Focus on the back leg, push away, and it will allow your running mechanics to really start to get nice and strong, and allow you to get up those hills, power hiking, running as fast as you possibly can with as little fatigue as possible. So guys, that brings me almost to an end of part 3 of 5 for strength training for trail running. Remember, as you apply this into your training, we're not looking for huge reps. So if you're in the gym and you're cooking yourself out, you're burning yourself out, and you're going as hard as you can, you are going to pull away from your performance. You are going to apply the wrong hormetic zone for your strength training, and you're going to find your day is going to be even more tiring. You're going to feel bonked throughout the rest of the day. You'll have no energy. And again, if you're just like me, you're busy, but you have these big audacious goals, you want to make sure that you look after that hormetic zone, that right place to train, that right intensity, the right volume, the right dosage, so that you can not waste your time and you can get something out of your training. All right, guys, really hoping you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you got something out of it. What are you training for? Let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you here next for part 4 of 5 for our strength training for trail running.